Good afternoon. My name's Jay Randall, and first of all, I want to thank everyone for coming. I appreciate it. I want to start off today by asking everyone a question. How many of you have kids? Just a show of hands. Everyone, right? Now, just for a minute, I want you to imagine your life without them. It's weird, right? For millions of Americans suffering from infertility, that's reality. Most of us dream about having kids when we're still kids ourselves. But for some adults in the United States, those dreams just don't come true due to infertility. During my college career, I've done quite a bit of coursework on infertility, on in vitro fertilization, and surrogacy. And today I want to talk about the most common causes of infertility, talk about the social relevancy of the subject, and discuss treatment options, including in vitro fertilization, some alternatives, and finally, some risks involved. So what is infertility? Infertility is the inability by a human, an animal, or a plant to reproduce by natural means. Most people don't realize how prevalent that is here in the U.S. The CDC reports 11% of women either have trouble getting pregnant or carrying a pregnancy to full term. 7.5% of all men in the United States visit a fertilization specialist in their lifetime. So let's talk about some of the causes of infertility. There is fallopian tube damage or blockage. There are ovulation disorders, premature ovarian failure. In the men, impaired sperm production or function. There are genetic disorders. And some people use fertility specialists for preservation due to cancer or other health concerns. So now that we've talked about some of the different causes, let me talk about some of the impacts. The two main impacts I want to discuss are the self. As I said before, most of us dream about having children when we're still children ourselves. When you grow up and those dreams don't come true, everything that you've imagined, everything that you've dreamed of and visualized doesn't happen, it can have a huge psychological impact. The other part of that is isolation. When we don't have children, while our friends and our siblings and our coworkers are having children, we feel a sense of isolation because we're left out of social situations, family functions that revolve around the children, revolve around milestones like Christmas and birthdays. And that isolation can lead to a sense of loss of control. So now that we've talked about some of the impacts, let's discuss in vitro fertilization. It's a popular and successful treatment option for infertility. In vitro just means in glass. And the process is taking an egg from the mother and a sperm from the father and placing it in a petri dish. Once it fertilizes the egg, then it's placed back into the uterus of the mother, or in some cases, another woman, a surrogate. The first test tube baby, as they're called, was born in 1978 in London. Her name was Louise Brown. So there's a little history and just a brief description of the process. Let's talk about some of the ethical issues that come up. The biggest one is that we make the human egg a commodity with fertility specialists. We blur the line of parenthood, the definition of parenthood. And a lot of these questions, couples have to go through and just have to answer for themselves to decide which option is right for them. There are alternate solutions. There's adoption, there's acupuncture, other holistic methods. There's IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, which basically just means that the egg and the sperm are allowed to develop further outside the body before they're implanted back into the uterus. Let's talk about some of the risks. Fertility treatments can lead to multiple births. We've all heard of the octomom. Premature delivery, low birth weight, miscarriage, birth defects, and even ovarian cancer. All of these are things to consider when you're looking at your options. Now, we've talked about infertility, the impact it can have on the individuals, on relationships, on your sense of self and families. We talked a little bit about the in vitro fertilization process, a little history of it, and the role it plays as a possible solution for some, although alternative treatments may be best for others. And finally, we covered some of the ethical questions that arise from infertility treatments and the options available to those suffering from infertility. If this is an issue for you or someone you love or someone you know, explore your options, decide for yourself what treatment means to you and your family, support your loved ones, and don't lose hope as you try to find a solution together. Thank you. The sources for my speech today were the CDC, the impact of infertility from Social Work Today, and the Mayo Clinic. Thank you very much.